You ever think of taking your bread out when you go home and just leaving it unwrapped? How many days do you think it would be good before it gets dried out and moldy?
Well, more conflicts of interest. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Pierre Poilievre announcing that he will be scrapping the Liberals' plan to force grocery stores to remove all their plastic packaging. This move will save Canadians a lot of money because biodegradable packaging is expensive. And what company do you think is lined up to provide biodegradable packaging? Let's jump into this. With the conclusion of the debates, we're now having a bunch of people going out for advanced polling. We're seeing this picture here coming from Pleb. Huge lineups already forming, people wanting to cast their votes. We also have Jagmeet Singh, after his horrible performance, trying to stir up a bit of support using Jack Layton's name. Jack Layton inspired so many people across Canada. He always believed that with love, hope, and optimism, we could do better. It's not going to work, Jagmeet. You can't leech credibility from Jack Layton. It's not happening. This guy sold out Canada. Everyone sees it. At this point, it looks like he's intentionally trying to tank the NDP, potentially some dirty back-end deal he's set up with the Liberals. We got this one coming from CTV, which is despicable. It says, Mark Carney targeted Pierre Poilievre's continued rhetoric about Justin Trudeau and the carbon tax, saying they're both gone. Continued rhetoric. This is not unbiased media, guys. This is clearly favoring Mark Carney when you use language like this.
Spent years running against Justin Trudeau and the carbon tax, and they're both gone, okay?
No, the party is still there. The policies are still there. Everything is still there. It's just the puppet master is now in the chair. We got Kirk posting this one saying, money is leaving Canadian markets in February 2025. Latest data, Canadians bought $27.2 billion in foreign equities, mostly US. Foreign investors sold $6.5 billion in Canadian securities, $21.9 billion leaving Canadian shares. This is the largest divestment from Canadian equity since 2007. We can see that here, this monstrous drop here. As he says, this is a total outflow of $33.6 billion from the Canadian economy. Things are going to get much worse here pretty darn quick if Poilievre doesn't get in and fix these problems. And with that, we've got Mark Carney here in front of Niagara Falls, caught embarrassing himself once again.
Today, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said that he will end the ban the Liberals enacted on plastic items and the plan to require more plastics to include recycled content. So I'm wondering if a Liberal government under your leadership will maintain those policies.
Well, I'm losing track of how many sort of American imports. It seems like some of the only imports that are going out from the U.S. are policies from south of the border.
I'm sorry, what? How many policies have you stolen from Pierre Poilievre? We got to be up to almost 10 now. This is a guy who did direct business with Elon Musk, helping him bail him out. $250 million investment in Twitter. Elon talks about importing things from America. This guy's been doing business with Donald Trump's team for years. I mean, look at the dates on here. May 6, 2022 is when this went through. And who is the vice chair of ESG, Environmental, Social, and Governments at Brookfield in May of 2022? It's Mark Carney. He did this deal.
Look, the restrictions that are in place all have readily affordable, broadly affordable options. So I don't see the need to follow the U.S. either in terms of the respect for rule of judgments of judges, U.S. firearm policy, or with respect to plastics. We make our own decisions here in Canada. Thank you.
Follow the U.S. This guy's been doing business with the U.S. for years. He's integrated with Donald Trump's team. Globalist, elitist, selfish, evil little man. He likes their business climate. He moved his company there. Next up, we have Pierre Poilievre cracking down on the Liberals' policy to get rid of all plastic packaging out of food, which will increase our food price.
Who's ready to stand up for me? Help me.
He plans to make your life even more expensive in a fourth Liberal term. Mark Carney's Liberals have already banned the plastics that Canadians use every single day. Everything from plastic straws to grocery bags. This plastic ban will cost Canadians $1.3 billion over the next decade. And these costs are going to be passed down directly to you. But now Mark Carney, he wants to expand this plastics ban to food packaging, which will be a disaster for Canadians who already face sky-high grocery bills. Think about everything you buy at the grocery store that comes packaged in plastic. Meat, vegetables, fish. it will all become more expensive, and it will go bad faster too, meaning more trips to the grocery store, wasting your time as well as your money. At the end of the day, replacing plastic packaging will cost the average Canadian household an additional $400 every year, result in 500,000 tons in food waste, limit access to imported fruit and produce, and drive up food inflation again.
The last thing we need right now is higher cost on food. If you ever seen biodegradable garbage bags versus normal ones, the price is like 10 times more.
You know, I ask you, how long does this bread stay fresh and edible if it's not packaged? You ever think of taking your bread out when you go home and just leaving it unwrapped? How many days do you think it would be good before it gets dried out and moldy? How long would the other fresh produce here stay edible if it could not be plastic wrapped? The answer is a lot less time. There'll be more waste in our foods, more food that goes into the garbage, and therefore more costs that Canadians pay for food they don't even get to eat. This law, you know, it sounds crazy, but it's right on the government website. The law would require grocery stores to get rid of 75% of food packaging by 2026 and 95% by 2028. Now, there's a reason grocery stores use plastic to protect and store our food. And let me quote the government's own website on why that is. Plastic is the most common material for food packaging, primarily because of its purported ability to reduce food loss and waste. It is inexpensive, lightweight, and flexible, suitable to meet product specifications such as heat and tear resistance. The Liberal proposal will end this convenience and add costs. It will force stores to replace inexpensive, lightweight, and flexible packaging with more expensive, heavier, and less convenient alternatives.
It'll be the biodegradable bags. If somebody wants to choose to go that route, that shouldn't be forced on all of us. This is another net zero agenda being forced on it. And guess who's going to be standing on the other side with a business to make money? It's Mark Carney. Do you think Brookfield is invested in a company that is there to replace all the plastic packaging with eco-green biodegradable packaging? For anyone who wants to see it, right on the actual website. So it's got all the risk management here, reduce environmental plastic packaging, 75 by 2026, 95 by 2028. These are all the different objectives. Objective 3, 100% by 2028. Objective 4, develop strategies outside. So it's all here. This is a Liberal plan. And this will increase food prices once again. You knew where this was going, so I've reordered my map a bit here. I've got some new entries. We've got Scholler Allibert, we've got Circular Services, and we've got Jindal Poly Firms. So what are these? These are packaging companies that Brookfield either has controlling interest in or huge investments in. So first off, Scholler Allibert, a returnable plastic packaging company in Europe. Brookfield business partners to acquire controlling interest. It says here 75% controlling interest in this company, Scholler Allibert Group, one of Europe's largest manufacturers of returnable plastic packaging systems. Now, if these companies don't already make biodegradable packaging, you can bet that Brookfield is going to push them to do so. And you're going to say, you know what? We got a big client coming. We just know it. I think the government of Canada is going to become our biggest client ever. From the same company here, it says Scholler Allibert makes handheld and large bulk container servicing, retail, logistics, food and beverage, industrial, automotive industries. Since acquisition, Brookfield has leveraged its packaging expertise and global network to grow the business into new markets. That's exactly what I just said. They're already doing it. Invest in product development. Brookfield's partners have improved the company's sustainability. Scholler Allibert is now the largest provider of 100% reusable and recyclable plastic packaging in Europe. What country do you think they're going to be doing business with next? So moving up to our next one here, Circular Services in America. This is a recycling company, the largest privately held recycling company in the United States. Global Corporations joins Brookfield to invest nearly $1 billion in Circular Services. It says here this was done in late 2022. So this is after Mark Carney is part of Brookfield Asset Management. And this is just at the time when he became the chair. He upgraded from vice chair ESG to chair of Brookfield. So is his name all over this? You bet it is. Closed Loop Partners says commitment in its Circular Services operating group, which is established with Brookfield in November 2022, has now reached $1 billion. So it goes on to talk about the recovery rates of their packaging. They're quoted saying, to create a world where packaging never ends up in a landfill as litter, recycling capabilities must evolve, and investing in infrastructure and circular systems can help collect, sort, reuse, and recycle is a critical step. So this is coming from Molly Fogarty, of the head of sustainability, corporate and governance, ESG affairs at Nestle North America. While it's great to have recycling, we do know that there's a lot of stuff, even though it's pretended that things get recycled, they don't actually get recycled. It all depends on the code on the bottom of a plastic bottle and all that. Forcing this on Canadians, increasing food prices further when we're in such a disastrous state, is not ethical. It just isn't. So we see here, Mark Carney set this up with Brookfield, an American company who can swoop in and do this business, and not only do business for Brookfield, but in America. It's another tie to him helping America and not Canada. And finally, we got this one here, Jindal Poly Firms, food packaging company in India. It makes packaging films for foods and other uses, focusing on recycling materials, etc. So this is their website here. There's more details on this page. Canadian investment firm Brookfield Asset Management on Thursday said it had signed an agreement to pick up a minority stake in packaging filmed business from Jindal Poly Films, around $263 million. This is among the largest private equity deals in India's packaging industry. At this point, are we surprised that the Liberals have a policy that is going to force removal of plastic packaging and moving to something that's biodegradable when they've already set up the network here of companies to fill that gap and make money on the back end? So if we look at the timeline of this, Justin Trudeau brought this initial plastic ban in on June 10th, 2019. You see here, that's why Prime Minister Trudeau announced today, Government of Canada, additional steps to reduce plastic. If we look at these three companies that Brookfield is invested in, Scholler Albert was in 2018. Remember, Mark Carney knows Bruce Flatt, the CEO of Brookfield. He's known the guy for 25 years. Were they talking? But these other two, this one in America, Circular Services, this was done in November 2022. Mark Carney, as I've already shown, he's Vice Chair ESG at Brookfield. And this one in India was done March 17th, 2022. Are these a conflict of interest? Mark Carney cannot be Prime Minister. He has to sell all of his assets. He has to disclose his assets. This situation is ridiculous. I've been seeing a lot of talk about this. So this was Pierre Poilievre on the left and Mark Carney on the right. Pierre was wearing a Canadian flag pin. Mark Carney was wearing this pin, and a bunch of people have been wondering, this is an Order of Canada pin. Mark Carney was given a medal for service to Canada. This is an arrogant display bragging about himself, serving himself, where Pierre wears a Canadian flag to serve the Canadian people. Moving on here, we've got Lorna Jean Edmonds, Liberal candidate for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, says the Liberals can't unequivocally rule out the reintroduction of the consumer carbon tax. There it is. They're going to bring it back. We knew they were going to bring it back. They're just admitting it now in public. Even young Canadians know this.
This is why we say Mark Carney is sneaky. Let's talk about the carbon tax. Liberals go, oh, you conservatives are still upset about the carbon tax. It's gone. We don't have to worry about it anymore. Really? Do you know how the parliamentary system works? The carbon tax when it was first brought up in a bill through the legislative process through the House of Commons, and it reached royal assent and it was signed into law. Okay? So the only way to get rid of the carbon tax is to do the same legislative process to repeal it.
So the younger generation is waking up here. They're getting what's going on. They know full well that the Liberals are not getting rid of the carbon tax. They are admitting it. They're not getting rid of it, and they're going to bring it back. We've also got this one coming out now, posted by Brian Lilly. It says yesterday about the Liberal candidate in Leeds, Grenville, musing about the carbon tax coming back. Now the Liberal candidate in Kelowna is doing the same. Multiple of these Liberals saying the carbon tax coming back.
Stephen, do you believe carbon taxes are an effective way to reduce emissions?
The experts say it is. Every expert on the planet has said it was the most cost-effective way to do this. And unfortunately, 38 or 39% of the Conservative Party made so much noise about this that it became unpalatable. And so, it doesn't mean that we're going to abandon it. It just means it's going to have to be applied in a different way. And
going to have to be applied in a different way. Carney needs to be honest with Canadians for once. Good luck with that. What are his plans post-election? How high will he raise it? If the impact will be more than tariffs, Canadians deserve to know. He won't tell us. He's already said actually $170 per ton. He said it in one of his WF videos there. So we can see it right here. Here's the graph. We're only halfway up. Carney wants to double it all the way up here. See, $170 per ton. It will decimate our country. So we got another clip here posted by CBC Watcher of the CBC having more meltdowns over right-wing media getting to be able to ask questions, independent media getting to ask questions of politicians. The censorship in this country is unbelievable. And just listen to what Rosemary Barton says here.
Well, can I just pick up on Karina if I can? Yeah.
Absolutely.
There are, just so people understand, there are a series of police officers stationed behind us to make sure that we remain safe and that the media get out safely. They were not altercations between journalists inside the media room, and there was no altercation between journalists that happened on David's set. These were right-wing people that publish their own agenda and websites who confronted journalists inside the media center, who confronted David on his set, who directly and personally confronted me inside the media center. These are people that the commission decided to accredit.
She's lying here. The people that confronted anyone, Mark Carney's media lead attacked Rebel News. It's on video. Like, why even lie? We have the footage.
Carrie Gillan! Oi! You're a liar.
Oh, yeah, nice try, guys. You just nice try.
So this guy here, he's the only one who's attacking anyone. And there's a third video where another liberal does it again. They don't like it that finally the public is getting a voice through independent media.
That is where we are now. The situation deteriorated quickly in terms of how those people were behaving inside a professional media center where you were supposed to be doing your job.
No, it was the Hill Times, Stuart Benson, that was having a huge meltdown. It wasn't Rebel News. They were all quiet. And there's video footage of that. Once again, stop lying, Rosemary. You need to be fired.
And that has left us with no scrums and a strange security situation on a night where we should be focused on the things that you want.
I think most definitely this was canceled by either by Mark Carney or by CBC themselves because they don't want independent media asking questions, hard questions to Mark Carney. The corruption in this country is unbelievable. The only security issue was their own personal financial security issue. Yeah, we're done with the CBC. It's over. On Wednesday night, the mainstream media journalists did not want anyone outside their bubble to be present, and they made it clear after the Q&A. On Thursday, this coordinated outburst, cancellation, police presence against independent journalists, coincidence or sabotage? With David Cochran's meltdown, I guess he posts on this Blue Sky. Does anyone use that website? Anyways, he's posted here saying, I've been at this for nearly 28 years. I have my dream job. But if you had told me 28 years ago things would be this toxic, I would have done something else. This guy is such a weak little man. He has his dream job. He's complaining that there's freedom of speech. He wants full control over the narrative, getting paid off with no credibility, no honor. This man is disgraceful. I watched him rolling his heads with disdain for right-wing journalists on national television. He blatantly lied about why the debate question scrum was canceled. Defund the CBC. Hope that guy picks another line of work. Got Mario posting this one saying Carney's a complete embarrassment. Look at what Modi, the Prime Minister of India, posted. What a beautiful message. Carney, our Prime Minister, could care less. He's not posted a single thing for Good Friday. Modi posting this on Good Friday. We remember the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. This day inspires us to cherish kindness, compassion, and always be large-hearted. May the spirit of peace and togetherness always prevail. Is Mark Carney or whoever's in control of Mark Carney's X account going to tweet about this? Considering Mark Carney was caught sending out 5 messages during the debate, quite clear he doesn't control his own X account. And we got one more clip of Mark Carney here at Niagara Falls. He just talks in such broad strokes. There's never anything, there's no substance behind anything he says here. Talking about America's going to be weak because they're divided and Canada will be strong.
But we will do them and we will win. America is divided. This will make them weaker with time. We are uniting. This will make us stronger. We can give ourselves so much more than the Americans can ever take away. So it's time to chart our own path, to realize our own potential, to build Canada strong. Thank you. Merci. But we will.
Ugh, he's just full of nothing. Anytime he speaks, he's got the word fundamental crisis or catalyze or all of those words in it. Elbows up, certified liar. Deeply delusional, or in my opinion, just plain lying. He sounds and looks defeated, to be honest. So this was after the second debate, the English debate. Time to go full scorched earth on his final stretch, I guess. Elbows up, y'all. He does look defeated here. I mean, even for this guy, he's pretty low energy, but he looks like there's nothing going on there. He knows full well that he got his butt handed to him by Pierre last night in the debate. At this point, it's clear. Every single announcement that either Mark Carney makes or that Pierre Poilievre is criticizing, we know that there's ties back to Brookfield and Mark Carney. We know Brookfield's already set up with modular housing, pipelines, sustainability projects, but even getting down to small things like packaging. The key question is here, how many conflicts of interest will Mark Carney have with his investments in Brookfield?